Alrighty, what is up guys, and welcome back to the daily series of Nwadei MMA, where I give you my thoughts, but more importantly, ask for you guys' thoughts, because you guys are the MMA community, of course. How are you guys doing today? I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Today, you're going to be watching a breakdown of UFC 298's main event in Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria. Now, I know a lot of you guys have been looking forward to this fight. I mean, this is going to be once in a lifetime for the featherweight championship of the world. The rest of the card is actually really good. I'm going to be doing more breakdowns for this card, like Robert Whitaker versus Paulo Costa. That's probably another one a lot of you guys want to see, but comment down below what fights you want to see me break down, and I'll get right to breaking those ones down. Of course, UFC 299 is coming up, UFC 300 and things like that. I'm going to be breaking those down as well. But that's not all that's on this card. We got Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary. That's a banger of a fight. Rob Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo for maybe #1 contendership, right? Anthony Hernandez versus Ikram Eliskerov. There's a lot of good fights on this card, but I'm going to be talking about one, the main event, the one everyone is the most interested in, because Volk is coming off of a knockout loss, right, to Islam Makhachev. It was short notice. A lot of people should he have taken the fight? I don't know. Maybe not. Ilia Topuria, though, has been running through his competition, finishing almost everybody, and if he's not finishing you, you're taking a big beating like Josh Emmett did, right? And we figured out a lot of things about Ilia Topuria. I mean, he's a nasty striker, and good boxing, good inside the pocket fighting, and we're gonna break them down a little bit more. But guys, thank you for stopping by the channel. If you like this sort of thing, be sure to support the content by giving this video a thumbs up, and you're more than welcome to leave your thoughts down below and hit that subscribe button to be notified when more videos like this one pop up in the future. However, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the breakdown. Okay, so first, like we were talking about, a lot of great fights on this card. You can see all of them right here. However, talking about the main event, matter of fact, I'm gonna bring it over to this page. Oh, by the way, guys, I know you guys like my breakdowns, but if you guys want to hear more casual MMA talk, I mean, very casual MMA talk, uncensored MMA opinions, be sure to check out the podcast on the channel, The Will versus the Way, where we talk about everything going on in the MMA community in a more casual sense. So if that's your type of thing, you might enjoy the podcast. Alright guys, so breaking down their body types and the way they like to fight. Alexander Volkanovski is 5'6", Ilia Topuria is 5'7". Volk's actually fighting someone kind of his height this time around, right? Volk is 35. And there's a crazy stat out there. If one of you could find it for me, that'll probably be go ahead and put it down in the comments. But if I'm correct, it's, I think, champions 35 and over are 1-25 in title defenses. That's crazy. That's a crazy stat. Now, keep that in mind. Ilia Topuria is 27. He is barely entering his prime, if that. I mean, prime years for an MMA fighter is right around like 28 to 33. Is your prime, right? Especially for champions. Now Volk, while he is shorter, he's gonna have a 2-inch reach advantage, which is just weird. He's a very weird body type. He lands about 2 more significant strikes per minute than Ilya at 6.19 to Ilya's 4.44. Alexander Volkanovski has better accuracy on his strikes, averages a little bit less takedowns. They both average around 2 takedowns a fight. However, Ilia Topuria has a 56% takedown accuracy. That's a big thing going into this fight, because they do have 2 different skill levels as far as grappling is concerned, and I'm going to get more into that. It also averages 1.4 subs per fight as well to Volk's 0.18. Now, before we get into this film study, I really want to talk about each fighter's styles. So we know Volk likes to stay on the outside. He keeps a little bit of an upright posture. He likes to throw the leg kicks, switch off of them, and set up his hands with his kicks, right? He mainly likes to stick with the low kicks, although every once in a while he will throw body kicks, and he likes to come forward, and when he comes forward, he'll throw overhands, go into the clinch, grapple, and things like that, right? He doesn't really have a traditional kickboxing style. It's very MMA striking based. Keep in mind that he started off as a wrestler, and then he got in to the striking aspect at city kickboxing and things like that, right? So that's why you see him kind of carry this mindset of pushing the pace, and every time he comes forward, he's coming forward with overhands because he likes to enter the clinch. He likes to get into these grappling scenarios. He did more grappling than striking coming up on the regional scene. However, another thing about Volk is we know he's very, very educated, likes to manipulate pace and use it as a weapon. His coaches are very smart. You know he's going to be able to adjust to whatever he has going on. However, on the other side with Ilia Topuria, Topuria has a Greco-Jitsu base. What do I mean by that? It's a Greco-Roman wrestling, which is upper body wrestling, very similar to judo, and honestly translates better to MMA than freestyle wrestling. Generally, some other Greco-Roman wrestlers are like DC or John Jones or even Dan Henderson were all good Greco guys. And it's not just that, but he also has a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he has very good jiu-jitsu. If you remember his Ryan Hall fight, he defended everything Ryan Hall had to offer him before putting him in the ground. So he's a very, very good grappler. That wrestler jiu-jitsu base is always very good to have. But to add on to that, he has very good pocket work. What do I mean by that? Very good boxing exchanges, yes. He likes to dig to the body, yes. But he also likes to roll with shots. He doesn't take many shots clean. He's always rolling if you're hitting him while he's hitting you. He likes to come over your jab with a 2-3-2 and heavy boxing combinations. He'll dig down to the body, and he is also very educated, which is why this is such a close matchup. He's very educated, has very good coaches. You see him come out to different fights with different styles. Like you watch him fight Bryce Mitchell, you see how low his stance got, versus when he fought Josh Emmett, his stance was a little bit more upright because he didn't really expect Josh to shoot on him like that, right? So very educated, plus all those other things we just named, and that's why this is such an interesting matchup. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this film study. Getting into the fights that we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be discussing 3 different fights for each fighter. For Alexander Volkanovski, we're going to be talking about his fights with Jose Aldo, because that's a really good boxer that he ended up fighting. A little bit different from Ilia, obviously, but it brought some questions that we need answered when talking about his fight with Ilia Topuria. We're also going to talk about the Max fight, the second one, not the first one, just to discuss some of the things that Volk can do better in his defense, as well as his fight with the Korean Zombie, because I feel like that is a big one as far as, again, another boxer who likes to let his hands go, who throws a lot into his shots, and how Volk kind of deal with that, because Volk has fought similar styles to Ilia Topuria in the past. Of course, no fighter is the same, but we've seen him deal with these problems at hand, right? Ilia Topuria, on the other hand, we're going to be watching his fight against Bryce Mitchell, because what a fucking dog fight that was, and a beautiful display of martial arts. We're going to be talking about his fight against Josh Herbert, because it showed holes, but it also showed things, his adaptability, his toughness, and other things that we're going to talk about in that fight. And we're also going to watch his fight against Josh Emmett. So guys, these are the fights we're going to be breaking down. We're going to try and not take too long on this breakdown for you guys. I'm going to try and be quick, concise, to the point, but I do want to go in depth with this analysis. So if you're going to be sticking around, don't forget to leave a like on this video and your thoughts down below as we're going along with this breakdown. Maybe some things you picked out as well. And with that being said, let's get into the film study, huh? Alrighty guys, so first order of business, we're going to talk about Alexander Volkanovski, the champion, first. I feel like we're going to be able to move a little bit quicker through this one, because we've seen a lot from Volkanovski, right? We've seen his styles, but I think people forgot how smart Volkanovski used to be, right? So we're going to watch his fight with Jose Aldo real quick. I'm going to be skipping around, so don't get impatient with me. I'm going to be talking about specific points in these fights. Now, going against Jose Aldo, the reason why I like watching this fight over some of his other ones is because it's very similar styles. He likes to throw a lot of hands, similar to the way Ilia Topuria likes to fight, especially later in Jose's career. He really didn't throw many leg kicks anymore. He really focused more on his boxing combinations. So right away, we see Volk feinting a lot. He's reaching with that backhand. Now that's a very interesting thing that he's not going to be able to do against Ilia Topuria, because I believe Ilia is one of the best in the UFC at working the body. And when you leave your backhand out like that, your power hand that's supposed to protect you if people are coming in, you're almost changing it to a jab, so it has less power behind it because you're taking that hip away. And when you do that, your lead hand then becomes your power hand, and there's different things you have to worry about, but it's very easy for that person to then go to the body and finish up to the head, which will put you in danger going against a good boxer like Ilia Topuria. And what I mean is, you're gonna see it in a second. Right there. Let's go back a little bit. Bang. You see how he's doing that? He'll do that a lot, and he'll try and just grab your lead hand or touch your lead hand, and he's trying to do it for his own reasons. Gather that range, gather that intel, gather that timing, and things like that. But the things I really wanted to bring up for this Aldo fight is, look how patient he's starting off, so we can imagine that he's gonna have this same approach, right? Another thing he's gonna have to do against Ilia is he is gonna have to set up his hands with his kicks, and this is because Ilia Topuria carries a really low stance to set up heavy power shots off of his hands, right? So I think peppering that leg early will be able to slow him down, and if he does decide to grapple, it'll stop him from having much strength on that leg to be able to explode and things like that. And also it offsets the rhythm of boxers a lot of times, right? So you never really see him having much success with Aldo until he really starts taking this approach, and also getting into the clinch with Aldo in order to nullify a lot of his boxing combinations as well. See how he's just touching that leg, and you see how Aldo, he's gauging Aldo's reaction. Aldo, every time he touched that leg, Aldo decided to just stay in there. But you see how he's setting up his kicks with his hands, and then setting up his hands with his kicks. He's gonna end up doing that a little bit later now. But generally, when people start to sit down on your kicks or start to try and check everything, it's good to fake it and then go into your hands. And I believe that that's gonna be a real opening against Ilia Topuria. You see how he's chopping up Jose Aldo's legs? I mean, this is Jose Aldo, who's known for his leg kicks, right? So beginning of the fight, he's starting out with a lot of leg kicks. Very, very telling, and you're probably gonna see this in the Ilia fight. I would not be surprised. And then now he's gonna start using his hands. A little bit later, gauging his reads, kick, and then you see how Aldo's in there ready to exchange with him. Bang. Stay safe. He did this over and over and over again in this fight. I remember, because I was fucking angry that Jose wasn't able to get anything off. Volk's intelligence, his IQ was just too high at this point. So moving in around two, a lot of lateral movement, still peppering that leg, still throwing these kicks. You see how he's just snapping them. He's not throwing too much on him. It's really just to gauge range, to interrupt his timing. And you never really know what you're gonna get. Stick and moving. This is what he needs to do against Ilia. Staying on the outside until he's ready to be on the inside. When he's ready to be on the inside, it's about staying safe, because there's a weird range between grappling and kickboxing that's called boxing, right? So you either at kicking range, which Volk likes to stay a lot, or he likes to be in the grappling range like that, like you just saw, into the clinch, into the wrestling, and things like that. If you're in boxing range with Ilia Topuria, that's where you're gonna find the most danger. There you go. He's tagging Aldo up with those hands. Aldo's still very stationary, looking to check those kicks. Bang, kick right into the strikes, right into the grappling. This is where he wants to be against Ilia Topuria. He actually started the third round off a lot hotter and a lot better than the other two rounds. See him going into the feints, into the kicks, and then into the hands. Right? Kick, switch stance, into the hands, into the grappling. It's a good way to nullify a lot of power strikers, get him weighing on his hands. And then look how good Volk is in the clinch. This is why whoever wins this fight is gonna have to dominate the clinch. Unless there's some kind of flash knockout or something like that. I believe the person who dominates the clinch is gonna control this fight. They both have good wrestling backgrounds. They both have good striking. Different striking, but good striking. I believe if Volk ends up on his back, though, that's where we're gonna see some problems. So moving on to Volk's fight against the Korean Zombie, and picking up on some of Volk's habits that he likes to do, you'll see him actually, he was ready to bang with the Korean Zombie, right? Because you have to be, because Korean Zombie, he's gonna just move in with dangerous boxing combinations. So look what he decides to do here. One thing I do like is that Volk was actually able to use his jab very well in this fight. You see him just pop Korean Zombie with the jab, and then he smiles, right? Anytime Korean Zombie is trying to get started with his volume, bang, there comes a stance switch, bang, there comes a jab to interrupt his combinations. He was very good about interrupting combinations and then meeting fire with fire in this fight. However, every time he did it, you kind of saw a little hint of it right there. You see how low he gets during those strikes? It's because he's used to being the shorter man, of course. But the problem with this is that Ilia Topuria likes to throw uppercuts and things up the middle. This is why you see Volk get caught with things up the middle, like knees or even high kicks, because he's constantly dipping his head, whether it's down or whether it's off to the side. He's constantly dipping his head, bang, just like that. But he did do a really good job though of keeping the zombie at bay with his jab. It was very stiff. That's one thing that Volk is also gonna need to do. Oh my god, Volk was very sharp in this fight. See him not rushing anything, he's just reading him. He already had Zombie's respect. He's kept him at bay with that jab. Every time he even gets close, bang, jab. And then he was ready to sit down on that right hand, get him to the clinch. Zombie actually has really good grappling too. He has good grappling, so if you're able to control Zombie in the clinch, on the ground, that's a big plus. See how quickly Zombie was able to pop up? Really good grappling. But I feel like Volk's mainly just using this to fatigue Zombie, kind of drain him of all his will. Typical wrestler mindset. Oh my god, damn, hold on, we gotta go back on that. Shit, look at this timing. Jab, and bang, cross, 3. Oof, slip the jab into 2-3, then a calf kick, and then another 2-3. He's always moving. He's never really in position to get hit when he's on the outside. It's when he's close in distance and he stays inside of these guys that he really opens himself up for those shots up the middle. But just being a shorter guy, you're gonna have to deal with that. You're gonna have to pick and choose. Now, another fight we're gonna look at is his fight with Max Holloway, where you're gonna see the same tendencies that we just talked about, right? And you see Max almost trying to pull him into these things. Max wasn't as eager to pressure Volk as he was in the first fight. This time he's letting him come to him. He's forcing him to enter, and when he does, that's when he's trying to get him with uppercuts, knees, and front kicks, as you just saw him attempt there. Now Volk, he did a good job entering there, but I want you to see something. When he enters, again, he's doing it with his head down. Look, those aren't the cleanest entries. Now they're gonna get you in, they're gonna tag you up, especially because he has longer arms than people are used to. But Ilia Topuria, if you're only throwing 2 or 3 shot combinations, that's what he wants. Yeah, I mean, he is really looking to just jump out of range, let you finish your combination, and then come back with heavy shots. So if you're just stopping there and you're not chasing him all the way to the cage, then you're at risk of getting clipped. Bang. Uh-oh. You know, I'm watching this fight for Volk, but sometimes Max Holloway will just turn you into a fan. And then Max is also dropping the jab. He actually aims this jab at Volk's chest. He's not even trying to hit him in the face, because he knows Volk, when he enters, is going to drop that head. See how he's aiming that low? They tell you to drop it down just about 2 or 3 inches. Ooh. And then he's trying to come up the middle. See, he saw the holes. He saw what the things that he needed to do against Volk, and he was able to capitalize on him early. But as the fight went on, Volk just started taking over. And that's the thing about Volk and Ilia. That's the thing about their styles. They're both very good, but they're also both very smart and very educated. And both have really good coaching. You can't stop right there if you're Volk. In the middle of those switching stances, can't stop right there. He ate that head kick too. Volk's one tough son of a gun though. He'll take it all. See how he's on the outside. Look, even with a taller guy like Max Holloway, he's standing on the outside. He's comfortable there. So I think that inside low kick, that comes. Oh, you see the uppercut? That interrupted Volk. Now he's very wary of entering range. Now he wants to stay on the outside. He wants to get back to the center. He's just trying to figure out how. Low kick. I really like that lead hook to the lead inside leg kick that Volk does. Stiff jab. Volk's so good fighting from the outside that you see Max reaching with some of these shots. Like he's trying to run him into the kick, but he ends up chasing him with the kick just because he doesn't know which way Volk's gonna exit. Good knee up the middle by Max. There's gonna come a point in time here where you see how he's throwing head kicks and then everything up the middle. These are the holes that he's seeing. It's the same reason why a lot of people thought that Yair was gonna maybe get the better of Volk. Volk just shut that shit down with his grappling and his fucking fight IQ. The way he was switching stances constantly and threw off Yair's rhythm. That was a good 2-1. Boom. There it is, off the entry. Why is it always, he's always dropping to a knee. Why is it always a knee? I feel like it's because it's always when he's coming forward. That's the problem that Volk has. It's just with coming forward because he's a shorter fighter. Those things up the middle, so boom, very accurate. But this is what I'm scared Ilia might be able to see and what he might be able to capitalize on, right? So if we're to pick out 3 keys to victory for Volkanovski based off of what we watched and what we saw, my keys to victory for Alexander Volkanovski would be to have a very strong jab. He needs to be able to interrupt Ilia's combinations with a jab. He can't rely on that check hook too much because Ilia will feed off of that, right? Another thing he needs to do is, while he's standing on the outside, while he is using those leg kicks, setting up his hands with his kicks is going to be paramount in this. Ilia keeps that really low stance. Yes, he does adjust to what he has in front of him, but peppering that lead leg will not hurt him. We haven't seen Ilia Topuria fight very much from southpaw, so if you take away that lead leg, you never know what's going to happen, but that'll also help him get into range without just trying to get in using boxing, because anyone who does that against him, we saw how that ended up for Josh Emmett, right? So again, using a very strong jab while he's on the outside, setting up his hands with his kicks, being very heavy, kicking on those lead legs, and then initiating the grappling exchanges on his own terms. He doesn't want Ilia being the one who's initiating the grappling exchanges, whether that's just in the clinch or whether that's on the ground as well. He should be the one trying to nullify Ilia striking with the grappling, keeping him up against the cage, making him work, getting back to your outside fighting, but every time you're either all the way in or you're all the way out. That's how he should be approaching this fight if he wants the best results. As far as Ilia Topuria, now we're going to get into his film study. So the first fight I want to watch when watching Ilia Topuria has to be his fight with Jai Herbert, because he took this one at lightweight. This was after beating Ryan Hall. He took it a weight class up. Jai Herbert's a very long striker, but he also showed some of the things that Ilia might be weak at. Like, Ilia also likes to duck his head, and one thing that Ilia does do that I see that is an opening is that he doesn't get his right hand back. You saw how he just got tagged to there against Jai. Watch when he throws that right hand. Boom, and where does it get back to? Bang, he just got hit. He'll bring it up after he gets hit, but he gets hit by it. And it's just right there because he likes to sit down on so many of those left hooks after he throws that cross that sometimes when it's coming back like that, it leaves an opening, right? If we go back there and see it in slow motion, right? So Jai's coming forward, tries to counter the jab with an overhand. He lands it, but Jai then, because he doesn't get it back all the way, he gets it back to his chest, lands a high kick that was absolutely brutal. However, I'm glad that this fight happened the way it did, because it got to show us really how tough Ilia Topuria was or is and what he's really made of. And you see that it happened while he was trying to capitalize on the left hook in that combination, right? So then Jai he thinks he's out of there, but he's not. Ilia's tough. He comes back. He came back grappling. He was pretty much grappling for the rest of this round. Really good wrestling. He never really got Jai to the ground, but it was very good control against the clinch, right? Got him down for a little bit. Wasn't able to do much damage with it though. Jai ended up getting back to guard. Oh yeah, this is what I mean when I say Volk can't end up on his back. Now, Volk's really good at getting up, but look, this is what high level jiu-jitsu looks like. He's always staying connected. Look how connected he is. If he has that grip for the leg, he's not gonna let it go until he can get something better. That's something you gotta worry about. Now, did he eat a shot there from Jai? Yes, but that's besides the point. Against a guy like Volkanovski, if he can hold on to those legs and capitalize off those wrestling exchanges, that's gonna be dangerous with a guy who has as good of jiu-jitsu as Ilia Topuria. He got a little wild at the end of this round because Jai is very long. Sometimes it's hard to gauge range against guys who are that long, and you start over swinging. Now, getting into his second round, he has a rough first round, right? I think we can all agree on that, right? But he comes back, and look at the difference. Now he's moving his head more. He's doing more reading. He's seeing what Jai's gonna give him rather than just entering. Boom. That's a lot better job of timing that right hand and not just committing to a full combination right away. In his range, methodically walking him down. And this right here is where Ilia Topuria is so good, right? If you're not going to throw a long combination at him, he's just going to back up and then get right back into range, get right back in your face and try and counter your jabs. That's probably what he's best at, countering that jab. Oh, Jesus, look at that. He throws a jab, right? Bang. Tries to come over the top with it. Again, Jai Herbert throws another jab, but this time it's a little bit more lazy. Bang. Overhand, body, and then overhand again. That 2-3-2 that he throws is not, just regular, right? It's not coming straight down the pipe. A lot of times it's an overhand 3 overhand. And he uses the same combination even against Josh Emmett, right? And it's just very, very dangerous the way he uses it. Look at the way against Josh, you'll see he really gets out of range very well. Yes, he puts the pressure on people, but he's very educated about the way that he does it. This is where I feel like Volk can have an advantage, kicking the legs, because you see how heavy he is on that lead leg. He wants to get in there and take your head off. But look at this. He gets people to react. And when they react with something he wants, like a boxing combination, he's very, very dangerous about capitalizing on those. That right hand is just cocked and loaded, ready to go. See how he's trying to go to that 2-3-2. Stays in the pocket, hands up, rolling with shots. Now when he's throwing one shot at a time, his defense is good. It's just that 1-2-3 combination that he ends up dropping that right hand on. It's more when people are coming at him and he's trying to counter right away with that 1-2-3 combination. Rather when he's initiating, oh, look at Jesus, look at, you see how he just steps right out of range and he's ready to hit you, especially guys winging overhands like that. You see how he's rolling with all these shots? God damn it, go back. Josh is trying, man. And this is a guy in Josh Emmett who has crazy power. Look, this left hand looks like it's about to land clean. He takes it, he rolls with it, and he just keeps on going. Bang, right at it. Okay, now out of range, right back to it. One thing that makes his style so terrifying is that he's not scared to take a shot, because he can take a shot, and most often he's not taking them clean. He's rolling with all of them, so he's able to deliver back way harder shots. The fact that a guy like this has such good grappling, you can see why so many people are betting against Volk on this one. Very stiff jab, timed that overhand very well. This is the third round, by the way, guys. I wasn't starting from the beginning. In the beginning, Josh was just using a lot of different footwork. Matter of fact, that might be interesting to watch, just to see the way that Topuria was able to track him down. So we're gonna go back real quick to round 1. Josh is staying on the outside. Josh actually has really good footwork. When he wants to be on the outside, he has really good footwork. I think the thing that stops Josh from being the champion is just his variety of attacks. I don't know if he has enough variety. But Ilia, see, if you're not throwing long combinations against him, he's just going to step right out of range. And he's going to be right back on you. And this is Josh Emmett throwing at him. If he's not scared to do it against Josh Emmett, he's definitely not scared to do it against Volk. Feinting his way in. He's just watching him. He's covering up and watching him, seeing what combinations he has to offer. Defensively sound. See, he learned from that Josh Herbert fight. Against Josh Herbert, he right away tried to start off with a long combination like a 1-2-3. Against Josh Emmett, he's been a lot more patient, especially with a guy who's moving as much as Emmett. This is very likely what we could see against Volk, other than he's going to be throwing a lot more leg kicks. Looks like they're starting to open up. Good low kick. He's very educated, man. I actually, breaking down this fight when I did it beforehand, I was talking about the fact that Josh Emmett has such a wide stance that it'll be just paramount for Ilia to kick his leg and shut down that lead leg. And the fact that he implemented that game plan and it worked to a T to set up his boxing combinations, his coaches are very educated. Stepping right out of the range to go ahead and land that right. That's what he does, man. Those are the kind of combinations he needs to set up against Volk. Now, I was going to talk more about that, but the longer combinations. You see how he steps into range with a jab, right? He steps into range with a jab, waits for the counter attack, right? He's already expecting it. When Josh counters back, he counters the counter. Look how many times. Look how many times he does this. Okay, poke and prod. Even though Josh threw more strikes, he got the better of that exchange. He's going to do it again. He's just going to poke him. Wait for the return. Okay, poke. He wants to just poke him, get that reaction out of Josh, and then he fires back. Very dangerous. And finally, last order of business, going into his fight against Bryce Mitchell. Look at this stance. Look how low he is, and just watch him work. Watch him work, man. This is what I'm talking about when I say adaptability. That right hand is still his favorite shot, right? But this is going against a southpaw, a grappler who is a southpaw. He just steps back and lets that right hand go. I mean, and the fact that he was able to actually out-grapple Bryce Mitchell and ragdoll him around, I think that's what kind of put everyone onto his jiu-jitsu. Who wasn't already onto it, after the Ryan Hall fight. This fight, he was really, and another thing you didn't see in this fight, you didn't see him overcommit to too many shots. Even though he threw a lot of power into that overhand that you just saw, he was still ready to defend the takedown. It still got back to his face, and he didn't go out of balance like he did against other guys like a Jai Herbert. No respect for these kicks. Just get into that. When he wants to close that distance, he'll do it. Great grappling defense against the cage here. And against a guy like Bryce Mitchell, who was able to just ragdoll and do what he wanted with Edson Barboza. He was a big 45er. All the right things. Bang. Just let that right hand go. Bang. Very accurate. Ooh, there he goes. And he was trying to clean him with that left hand. You should be happy that Bryce didn't shoot right there. I like it. That takedown defense. Look how accurate he is with his hands. Now he's starting to get into range with his feet. I think that's probably the thing I like the most about Ilia. That when he gets into range, he really steps into range to let things go. Good wrestling, hard to get him down. Bang, and back on the toes. Good footwork, bang. Man, look at that takedown defense. Even with those shots, you saw how he was rolling with them. His pocket work is really good, man. That's what I'm scared of. That is what I'm scared of. You see that? He led with the uppercut too. Boom, boom, boom. That is a combination that could finish Volk right there. His uppercut is nasty, and from here he ends up ragdolling Bryce Mitchell. I mean, he puts him in a series so bad. Look at this. Look like a gator grabbing a deer. Bryce is so hurt right here. It's a wonder how he's even still up. Bryce is so damn tough. Tries to shoot, times an uppercut. His timing is very, very, it's unique. It's unique how good his timing is, especially because he throws power into everything. Look at this. Sprawls on him, takes his back, more damage, and then look how he snatches up this arm triangle, drags him against the fence, tightens it up. This is very tight. I mean, you can only imagine how tight it has to be to get Bryce Mitchell to tap. Ridiculous. Beautiful display of mixed martial arts. So finishing off this video, the keys to victory for Ilia Topuria in my head would be definitely to have longer combinations, right? He wants to target Volk's body. He needs to be trying to counter the counterattack because Volk himself is a counter fighter. He's going to be on the outside. He's going to need something longer to get him into range. However, mixing in the uppercuts with his long combinations, I think are going to be what really will give Volk a lot of trouble, along with his second key to victory, which is going to be for him to initiate the clinch. I talked about it earlier. He who wins the clinch in this fight wins the fight. I think that making it very dirty in the clinch game, like dirty boxing, using his elbows. I wouldn't say use too many knees unless he starts dipping his head, then of course knees to the head as well. But making that clinch very dirty, and when he starts to fatigue, you start feeling him fatigue, then start using those wrestling exchanges. Because even if Volk has to, actually expend energy, that's him expending energy, right? You want to be ahead on the cardio game with Alexander Volkanovski. It's hard, but I feel like Ilia Topuria initiating those grappling exchanges, and if he could get on top, if he could get Volk down 2 times, I think that'll be ginormous for the fight. You can quote me on that. But with that being said, I think this is going to be a banger of a fight. 2 great teams, 2 great coaches, 2 very educated and great martial artists are taking place at UFC 298. They're going to bang it out, slug it out. I don't see this one going the distance. If this one goes to decision, we're going to have a fight of the year candidate. That's all I'm saying. So guys, let me know who y'all got in the comments down below. And let me know if y'all like this video or y'all like these styles of breakdowns. And let me know what other fights y'all want me to break down. However, with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.